Cyanobacteria, which are often referred to as blue-green algae, are not algae at all. So algae are going to come much later. They're much more advanced. Algae are composed of large eukaryotic cells which contain chloroplasts. The cyanobacteria are free-living, single-celled photosynthetic prokaryotes. Although some do form colonies, collections of individuals that are working together, like you see on the top right. So in addition to the stromatolites, we see lots of fossil evidence for these microorganisms by some 2.5 billion years ago. We feel fairly confident that what we're observing in the fossil record is indeed cyanobacteria because you can really see the consistency between these fossil imprints and the cyanobacteria that we see today. So the pictures on the right are extant cyanobacteria. So the first global mass extinction event that we can detect is known as the Great Oxygenation Event, sometimes referred to as the Great Oxygenation Catastrophe. So by 2.5 billion years ago, cyanobacteria have filled the oceans as well as the freshwater bodies, just as they do today. And they begin to radically change the chemistry of our atmosphere. Recall that photosynthesis is going to use radiant energy from our sun, from our star, carbon dioxide, and water to produce the sugar glucose, chemical energy. And the waste product is oxygen. That oxygen is going to accumulate in the atmosphere, and it's going to end up poisoning many of the anaerobic lineages that dominated planet Earth prior to the Great Oxygenation Event. Take a deep breath. So today, about 21% of the atmosphere that you breathe is oxygen, and about 78% is nitrogen. However, prior to 2.5 billion years ago, there was very, very little oxygen in the atmosphere. Oxygen is toxic to anaerobic microbes. Hell, oxygen can be toxic to us when it gets too concentrated. So when you're scuba diving with blended gas called nitrox, you can actually fill your scuba tank with a mixture of up to 36% oxygen. But you have to be really cautious at depth because oxygen toxicity from that concentrated blend of oxygen under pressure causes sudden unconsciousness and seizures. 2.5 billion years ago, the cyanobacteria took over the world from those anaerobic microbes, causing a dramatic increase in the partial pressure of free atmospheric oxygen. What happened here and here? Two other blips where oxygen seems to have increased. Well, the first bump is about 500,000 years ago, 500 million years ago, and this is when plants, photosynthetic plants, evolve and colonize dry land. And then the second bump right here, this is the Carboniferous period. So at this point, ferns are going to evolve with a vascular system, which is going to allow them to get really large. And these giant tree ferns actually cover the planet from pole to pole. Beautiful fern forest, and it actually increased the partial pressure of oxygen to a whopping 35%. So oxygen this high in the atmosphere allowed the ancestors of dragonflies, what are called griffin flies, to have 2-foot wingspans. That's a big dragonfly. There were millipedes, like this artist has recreated, that were up to 10 feet long. Important point, we are the descendants of those organisms that survived the time that oxygen almost killed everything. Be sure and check out the video below.